Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2024. This is Observable Flutter, and I am your host, Craig Labenz. Oh, I'm supposed to be on this slide, aren't I? Here we go. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm excited to be back. I had a great restorative break. I hope you all did as well. And today I'm going to be I think nearing the end of this zombie game project. I'm going to start the process of attacking zombies, and they'll get a health bar, then we'll get a health bar, and then I think we'll call it good. This has been quite an adventure, and I've got a fun project up my sleeve that will replace this between other topics, of course, as it's always been. Good to see everybody. So the first thing that I want to go over before we actually dive into, oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Remember, everybody, be nice, Flutter code of conduct, all that stuff. Okay, now we're ready. First thing I want to go over before diving into adding the ability to attack zombies to the game is some of the off-stream work that I did last night to wrap up the incomplete work from some of the previous streams. So if you watched the last episode, that was about flame behaviors, courtesy of our good friend Wolfen and the library, of course, that is. And we were refactoring all kinds of stuff to get it set for just to reorganize the zombie class. In fact, I'll switch over to code as I talk here. And the game did not work. Nothing moved. I was just performing like mad science surgery on the code base, moving things over from the zombie class into these different behaviors classes. Sorry, it's garbage day. I don't know if that's coming through on the stream. But my garbage is being picked up right now. So in this behaviors folder, that's where code was moving to, but it was kind of moving there haphazardly. It was a lot of like copy and paste the same bad code into, the same function names in a new class. And it's like, well, I don't think I'm really striking gold just yet. So I just want to quickly walk everyone through what I kind of settled on last night. And then we can move forward trying to attack some zombies. So there's a couple different, I'm in the class. Okay, so there's a couple different behaviors that zombies have. The first one is the goal controlling behavior. So this updates their strategy, basically just based on their proximity to the player. And it has, this behavior is attached to a flame component, and behaviors are themselves basically just components, actually. So they have the same life cycle events. So in the update method, we can modify our parent accordingly. And then what it does when it sets the state to either wandering or chasing is it attaches and detaches a chasing behavior and a wandering behavior. And those behaviors, first I was like running methods in them as well. You can see I've got a comment and out chase method here I should have gotten rid of. But what it really does is just have this movement to make getter. So it returns a vector 2. And this is just what movement this zombie should make given all the things. So that's unwalkable terrain. That's its veering, its lurching, all this stuff. This has been dramatically streamlined. And this should be in chasing, I think we're looking at. Yeah, so there's chasing, and then wandering has the same exact thing. It has some of its own initialization code, but it also has a movement to make getter. And the contract of these is just that they return a vector 2. So that means that this third and final, I guess this would be fourth. I swear I know how to count. This final behavior attached to all zombies, the moving behavior, doesn't know, oh, by the way, whichever one of those chasing or wandering is active, that sits on this pathfinding variable. And that allows the moving behavior, which is attached to the zombie, to actually, in its update method, apply movement, and it goes to the parent pathfinding movement to make, and then starts to add the position and do stuff like that. So movement now is finally completely ignorant of why or how we're moving in the way that we are. And then we start checking out of bounds, we undo collisions. This function actually sadly doesn't really work. And I was working on it last night. You can see I've still got commented out print statements, but my brain was melting at about midnight. And so I just committed stuff and went to bed. Here we are. So now we're going to be able to start attacking zombies. But first I'm going to read through the chat. Oh, Tracer, this is so nice of you. Beautiful image editing, great footage. Congrats. Yeah. Well, thanks. We have a lot of professional video help on that front. So I can't really claim a ton of the credit myself. They point to a spot on the floor and they say, stand there, you dummy. And then I do it. Is developing a game in Flutter as easy as a mobile app? Wow, what an interesting question. And then we've got a proposed answer. I think just basic games. What are my thoughts even on that? I mean, the complexity of apps and games both vary so wildly that, yeah, I mean, simple games and simple apps are probably about as easy, and complicated games and complicated apps are probably about as hard. So I guess I'd say yes. It's, use Flame for sure if you're making a game. Well, it depends on, if you're making Scrabble, you may or may not need Flame. If you're making a game with a constant game loop where, if you sit your phone down and walk away, you'll lose, then you probably need Flame. If you sit your phone down and walk away, nothing happens, you may or may not need Flame. Oh, Daniel, welcome to the live stream. Happy to have you here. Yeah, sleep is important, as I was testing the limits of last night. Oh yeah, I've seen Wolfen's MMO that he's building in Flutter, and it's actually like it's pixel art. It's, think of it as like, I think it's even lower res than like Stardew, right? But the netcode in it is just incredible, and I will play it. Okay, we are caught up. Oh no, we're not caught up. There's a question. Oh, it was asked again. Scott. Can I use artificial intelligence written in TensorFlow with Flutter? Yeah, there's a Flutter TensorFlow plugin that you can use, and we're currently working hard on a refreshed media pipe plugin, which is basically just off-the-shelf kind of daisy-chained TensorFlow Lite models pre-stitched together to do some higher-level output, and working on that. But TensorFlow Lite already available on Flutter. Okay, now it is time. So let's look at the game. There's a couple things that were happening in the last 2 game streams. One was to use Flame behaviors to update my zombie class, so it would be less terrible. And it is now less terrible. If we look at it, it just has a couple toggle state methods. It loads its assets on load. On collision, it calls this undo collisions method that doesn't really work that well. And more toggling methods, and that's it. So the zombie method, or the zombie class, is now extraordinarily thin, which is great. That's what we wanted. Got some debugging helpers and stuff like that. So it was Flame behaviors to organize the zombie class, and then the gaming stream before that was with Lucas, and we were optimizing poor performance. And what we concluded in the optimizing poor performance episode was that the problem was coming in my home rolled collision detection, which was doing too much calculation. If I had like 100 zombies, as they all tried to avoid each other, everything ground to a halt. So we were leaning into, we basically ripped out the old collision detection system that kept the zombies from stepping on each other's toes and replaced it with the actual Flame collision detection system, and then tried to kind of deduce from those results what we needed to do. And that refactor is just kind of incomplete and not really working that well. Flame behaviors is at least in place at this point. So if we run the game, oh, Danielle, great to see you. Yeah, zombie fighting, right? We've been, I think it's like the 10th episode with this game. Haven't been able to attack the zombies yet. So it's long overdue. So we'll see a bunch of zombies, and they undo collisions like kind of works, but not really. So they don't all just jump into the same spot, but they are able to slip into space where they shouldn't go. So I've totally turned it off for myself. So I'm walking into this space, and you can see that they're kind of just freely following, but they're also stepping on each other somewhat, but not like fully. Anyway, we're just going to live with that for now. It's not the best, but it's what we got. So, ship it, as they say. So it's time to start attacking. And I haven't done any work or really any thinking about how this is going to go. So, oh, did I have an asset for this somewhere? I thought I might have downloaded like a fireball. Like, oh no, that's on my personal computer. All right, we got to go get an asset. That's the first thing. Let's see here. What's that one? Like free game art? Open game art. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make this bigger. Let's get a fireball. Even though we definitely have, oh yeah, this is the thing that I downloaded right here. I think I'm going to download it again, although it's way higher res than everything else. So maybe it should be this one. Yeah. Oh, this one would have a little motion to it. Oof. This is really tough. I'm just going simple here. There's two of them. All right, we'll download the more popular one. Okay. As I open my Finder and move files around, just going to switch to this screen. Everyone, feel free to say or ask interesting things in the chat while I move this from my downloads folder. Where are you? What is it called? Fireball? Oh, documents isn't downloads. That's why I can't find it. Okay, put this in the directory of the game project. Zombies, assets. In the pot. Fireball1.ping. Oh, it's a very small thing. The game above gives you a different perspective on Flutter. Yeah, check out Flame. It works great. I've been having a blast. And, it's all just dark code. Okay. So I've now moved this fireball.1 or fireball1.ping file into my assets directory. So let's get started. pubspec.yaml, dev dependencies. No, assets is what I want. Here we go. So let's add assets fireball1.ping. Is that what it was? Or is it 01? No, just fireball1.ping. Okay. Great. And now I guess we're going to be in the player file mostly here. This will not be this file has not received any of as much cleanup or attention as the zombie file. So this code is, it's got less like pathfinding and stuff. It's just whatever the player does. So I think it was always less bad, but it's received no maintenance. Okay. Oh, well, I guess we'll also need like a fireball class. So a component, let's have a fireball.dart. And this will be a position component. Fireball extends position component. And yeah. So this is the kind of thing that I always have to just look up. Yeah, so we're going to add a sprite. Oh, and then I have to load that new sprite in the initial cache. So I think that was in like zombie game.dart. Yeah, here we go. So here we're loading all the sprites. Oh yeah, I need to run this generator again. How do I do that? Did I add myself a make file? Nope. Okay, what was that project? What was that called? Assets gen? No, it's not it. Looking up assets gen. Dev assets gen. Don't remember the command. Replaced by Flutter gen. Okay, well, I will worry about that later because I'm not making that change today. Okay. Rebuilding. Looking good. So now we should be able to add assets fireball. Cool. Okay. So that's that's loaded into memory. And now I'm going to go back to referencing my player class. So we need to add a sprite. Is that an attribute? So the player extends a position component and they have a sprite component. Okay, so let's add this to our fireball. I think there's like a sprite position component that I should be maybe using. Sprite. I know, I feel like there's maybe just sprite component. Let's look up view. Yes, sprite component extends position component. Forgive me, folks with more Flame experience. I always have to look this up. Oh, someone's asking about some like state management stuff for apps and games and how they differ. And that's a great question. I'm going to come back to that. All right, so our sprite component needs a sprite. So let's grab our constructor here, and then we'll call our super constructor implicitly, and the sprite will, wait a minute. No, I'm going to have the fireball be a position component, and then it'll have something that renders itself internally. In fact, it's probably going to be an entity, right? Isn't that what we've concluded from our, what did I do with the zombie? Positioned entity. Yeah, because I'm gonna flame behaviors this from the beginning. Okay, and we have to import flame behaviors. All right, that's good. And now, just like the zombie, I'm going to add a sprite component. There we go. So I've already done that, and we'll just call this the sprite component, I guess. So it's clear because the sprite and the sprite component are different. And now I will load a sprite and stick it into the component in onload. And so we need to import this assets file. This, to get the game ref, we have to add with has game ref for a zombie game. Now we have to import zombie game. All right, so we've added our sprite. We got to load the correct one. So in flame game, nope, zombie game, we can grab the correct sprite, and then back in Fireball, we'll load that sprite. And so this is actually just the sprite, and this is the sprite component, and it takes the sprite. And the size feels too big, but we'll play around with this. All right, so now it should at least be able to load. It should be able to render itself once the player casts the fireball. Which maybe that should. I wonder if that should be like a click. Oh, old curry. Yeah, with no context, that is actually a very good guess. Extremely good guess. And if you wanted pure memory management, I apologize for not delivering. In hindsight, this was a misleading stream title. You are right. Any news about 3D game dev? Really want to use Flutter and Dart for everything? You're probably gonna have to wait a little bit but Impeller is going to add the ability for proper 3D rendering, like using Blender objects and such in Flutter. The Flutter team is not likely to build advanced machinery around that, more just exposing what's required to build 3D renderers. And then I think it will be probably community efforts that bring very mature 3D rendering to Flutter. But Impeller will make that possible in a way that it has not been before. So, okay. We can, well, it's in our components file. Just press Command T with focus on the wrong window. In our barrel file, let's export Fireball. And we can now start thinking about this. So I'm going to close some files I don't need. And yeah, so the player is who will add fireballs to the world. So I think to start, actually, let's take the zombies out for a minute. So I'm going to go back to 0 zombies, and then we'll just walk around and try to tap on the game screen and have that cast fireball in that direction. That'll be an enormous win. So that means my first task is to figure out how to get Flutter Flame tap input. Tap events. Here we are. Where's my cursor? It's like, I want the latest. Oh, I think I've made this too big. All right, where's inputs? Here we go. Drag, gesture, tap events. Great. Basic methods for those. With tap callbacks. Interesting. So we're probably going to need that on like the whole world. And then we'll send that information, because you got to be able to tap anywhere on the screen. The question is not getting lost. Don't worry. I have it starred. So you are in good hands. So position component with tap callbacks. I think we're going to need this on the whole world. Let's try that. I'm going to put this in this window. And here we are. So world.dart. Let's add with tap callbacks. Okay. And now I can add this method to the world. And let's just like print event dot canvas position is probably, we want the global position, which I don't know the difference between the canvas and the local position. Let's print them both and find out. Local position. Yeah, right. Yeah, all right. So let's run the game. And while this builds, we'll hit that question. Oh, we do have one person thinking player component is going to extend tap callback. All right, we'll look into that. But before we do, with apps, you can use all these different state management patterns, MVC, MVP. Actually, no, I'm not going to lie. I don't know what that one is. MVVM, model view, view model. The naming of these is just hilarious. But what about games? How different is the architecture? Yeah, it's pretty different, I would say, in that the games are not so reactive, they're more imperative. And so you often will just, you obviously still want to have very like clean code that takes in inputs and modifies your game state, like, and flame behaviors can help with that. But the game state is often kind of spread out a bit, and maybe that's just me writing it poorly. Uh, but I think also because there's a game loop, if you're making Scrabble again, then you can use MVVM, like you could use Block or Riverpod, and you'd have a great time. If you're making a game that ticks every couple of milliseconds, you may or may not want to have your back end, your kind of inner game engine on the hook to emit a new game state every like to update your entire game world state every couple milliseconds. And so you may want to allow components to understand how they behave and like drive themselves and render themselves. And so the extent to which that means you do or do not use MVVM, I think you are less likely to, but I'm way newer with game development than I am with app development. So I'm slightly out of my, actually, I'm solidly out of my area of expertise here. So we're all gonna, I'm finding that out kind of as I go. All right, let's see. I'm clicking here. So canvas size was a small, so they had the same Y value, which makes sense because this is both 0 on my screen and 0 in the actual world. But the X value was larger for local position. So canvas position seems to be just what's visible. So like here we'll have close to 0, 0 for both of them. Yeah, we can get real close because I'm actually in the upper left. But as I scoot to the right and thus increase my X values, if I click all the way back in the corner, we see very low. So canvas is like screen position, and local position seems to be game world coordinates. Definitely not what I was expecting local position to mean, but okay. So, and now I'm actually curious. I do want to know, I presume if we put tap callbacks on the player, do we have to tap on the player, or does it just get callbacks for taps anywhere? Way no work. Classes can only, what? Oh, do I have to just import something for this? There we go. Okay, I'm going to take the on tap up method out of the world real quick. This is a test. Let's make this smaller. We don't see a lot of lines of code right now. And let's move this to the player and see if we get the same outcome. Okay, refresh, grab the game, click. So no, no print statements. When I click on the player, we get them. Yeah. All right, so that was a worthy test. But we now know the answer. And then we can get rid of you. And in the world, this will come back. All right. So we move with WASD, and then tapping on the screen is going to use the local position to cast a fireball in that direction. So let's say this is the world, so it has a pointer to the player. So we'll say player.cast fireball, and we'll pass it the event.local position. All right. I'm just thinking right now, like, am I already writing terrible code? Should any of this be a behavior or something? Maybe a behavior will handle this. Or no, I think the fireball will have its own behaviors, but the player will probably just have this method. We'll see. One of the things, by the way, you're talking about, yeah, absolutely. Talking about like different state management packages to use, right? Back up here in this previous excellent question. And, you're kind of this little conversation about how to structure this fireball code is how I would go about formulating an answer to that, but only by trial and error. So to roll back in some previous streams, I first wrote some of the worst code of my entire life in the zombie.dart file because I just didn't really know what I was doing. And after a couple streams of layering in more and more functionality, I had this absolute swap of interspersed coupled logic. And it was terrible. And so by doing that, though, first, I was really able to appreciate how it was better to pull it back out into flame behaviors. And so that's giving me like some context. And now as I set out to add this fireball behavior to the player, it's like, all right, well, I saw doing it wrong, and then I saw a way to do it better with flame behavior. So I'm going to keep that in mind and just try to, have my, like, just be on the lookout for code smells as I'm writing them. But I'm definitely not an expert on this. So in terms of figuring out state management for games, obviously can hop on the Flame Discord and talk to them. They'll certainly have probably good answers just off the top of their heads, but also trial and error, is a great way to kind of sleuth out those things. Okay, void, cast, fireball, and we're sending this a vector 2, which is the target. That's where the fireball should be going. So the first thing that I want to do is add a new fireball, and I think we just add it to the world. It's not really the players anymore, right? So we'll say game.world.add fireball, and then we'll pass this the target, which it doesn't take yet. Also, we are maybe not importing that. Okay. So now the fireball's constructor will need to take the target. So we'll do that, and that'll be required. This not target, and the target is a vector 2. Oh yeah, it's probably not final. Vector 2 target, where the user clicked, and thus where the fireball is heading. Okay, and then we'll also say this variable represents, yeah, that's how you spell that, global coordinates and not on-screen coordinates, in case I wonder that in the future. All right, first thing I want to do is just have a fireball appear on the screen pointed in the right direction. So in onload, what this component can do is add, do we have the game ref? We do. So we can add to the world ourselves rotated in the right way. Let's see if that works. So we'll add, this will be game.world.add the sprite component. Sprite component. And the starting position for this is the player's position. So our position here is game.world.player.position, but maybe we should pass that in as a, yeah, let's actually pass that in as origin. Required this dot origin. Alphabetize those. Vector 2 origin. This one I guess can be final because that can't change. From whence the fireball originated. Okay. Now we'll go back and pass in the origin, which is the player. Oh, we are in the player, so that's just our position. So now I'm going to close the zombie again, close the world again, and back in Fireball, our position is now just the origin. But we need to rotate ourselves. Actually, let's see if it just appears in the right place. How about that? How about we get real humble and do the simplest possible thing? I always thought that state management in game code depends on the developer, as unlike app development, organization of your code is not a core mechanic of your game. I think there's a lot of truth to that. It is also not a core mechanic of an app, though I think the patterns there are a lot more understood. So it's like way more obvious that you just should obviously organize your code in an app. Whereas in a game, maybe it's less understood, at least by me. Is this Rive Game Kit? No, but I really want to learn Rive Game Kit. This is just vanilla Flame. Also the player position. Oh yeah, Mystery Manager, you were on that. Doc comment. Yep, good. Yeah, we've got attentive folks in the chat today. All right, let's see what we got in our game. So I'm gonna walk around and click somewhere, and oh, look at that tiny zombie or that tiny fireball. All right, so it should appear above the player. That's the next thing we want. That's pretty simple. The priority will be high. Oh, there was a thing I was doing yesterday that I really liked as I was refactoring flame behavior things. So in my constants file, I added a way to organize priority values so I don't continue to just put random numbers and hope they're the correct. Hope they like slot in nicely. So let's have another thing here called rendering priority. This was movement priority, and I really should rename it. Rendering priority. And so we'll have static const int, and this is like background, right? So that'd be the lowest. And then static const int player. Let's have the player always be above zombies. And then we can have effects sit at 4. Oh, there's background, like, well, we'll call it ground, and then maybe objects, right? So this is like the house, the fence, stuff like that. So now when we set priorities on things, we can actually use values that we know make sense. So my player, what priority did I give you? See, just like a random priority. So this will now get rendering priority dot player. And we'll have to make this change in a couple other places as well. Zombie will get rendering priority dot zombies. That should be singular, shouldn't it? All these should be singular. And the fireball will now get rendering priority dot effect, and we'll have to import constants. And then in the world, we may just need to make this change for terrain. Where does this even happen? Here we go. Tiled component load. That's the map. And then where do we add the map? This may just be happening on its own. Hopefully those have a priority of 0. Let's see how this works. Run it again. Now, hopefully the fireball, which I gave effect is a higher priority, appears on top of the player. Also, that size is really small, really small. Let's double this to 32. 32, looking good. Back to the game. Okay, we're moving around. Nice. Fireball appearing on top. Oh, it needs a center anchor as well because its anchor right now is on the left of the thing. This could be potentially outrageously small on the screen. Anchor dot center. Okay, refresh. Back to the game. Moving around. Fireball. Nice. Look at that. Okay, now they need to rotate toward their target. So let's do that. I have a class in here that I have created called line, and it has an angle property that I think is going to help us here. So if we look at the line class, it takes a start and end vector 2. And there is a, where are you at? Angle, which just does the math that I had to look up. Or maybe somebody on that stream even just told us what it was. Oh, the fireballs look cute. Nice. Open game art for the win. So if we make a line, actually, I'll just do it in line. So there's the angle property here. And if we make a line, that is the start is the origin, right? And the end is, of course, the target. And we appear to have to import line. And then we give it the angle. I think it'll be rotated. Oh, don't mind me, folks. Oh, no. Oh, shoot. Oh, this is just, oh, no. Oh, look at how great this is. Okay. Now we're going to need this line actually more probably. So I'm realizing that we shouldn't just make a line like in line here. Instead, we should set this line. Well, let's call it a path. Final line path. Combined origin. Boo. And target. All right. And we'll set that path equals line origin target. Okay, so now this can just be path.angle. And now we can start moving this thing. That's kind of wild, huh? Moving fast here. All right, let's make update. Void update gets the DT. This is where I needed flame behaviors in the past. I'm just going to write code in this function for now, but with an eye open for what should be in a flame behavior. And probably whatever I write will just immediately move into a flame behavior. But we're going to move the position in the direction of the line, right? So this is going to be position dot add, and we need to, position is a vector 2, we need to add a vector 2. The lines also have a vector 2, where it's basically the end minus the start. So we could add to this path.vector2 and then times some speed constant, which we have yet to set, and then times the delta time. And I don't really know what to put for the speed. So for now, I'm going to say final double speed 5. I have no idea if this is going to be fast or slow. But I think the fireball will move. Didn't move. Did not. Wait a minute. Why did that move? Oh, because it's the position of the sprite component. Okay. All right, that seems maybe a little too fast. What do we think? Too fast? I think it's too fast. Let's try 3. 3 might be too slow. Potentially 4 is going to be the magic number. Oh, that seems okay. Yeah, that seems pretty fast. What do we think? Is 3 good? Yeah, 3 is great. Okay. 3 it is. Things are getting exciting now. Now we need, I guess, collision detection with zombies. So let's bring in one zombie again. And in its collision detection class here, we had our zombie moving behavior. Yeah, again, I'm kind of writing code that I may regret, which is a sentence I say all the time on this stream. But I think I'm going to say if other is fireball, then this is one thing I was wondering, by the way. I don't know if Wolfen is still here. If you are, collision detection for behaviors. I I don't know if I was kind of doing this in a silly way where in this collision detection callback, I just go find a behavior and like call a random function on it, as opposed to maybe something more direct or like wired into the framework. Get out of here, tooltip. So if the other one is a fireball, I think we need to have like a health behavior or like a, okay, so I'm thinking of the name of this. Wolfman was very firm last stream that the naming convention should be maintained, and it's like verb in the what is it, present progressive tense, and then some other, and then then the word behavior. So it's like goal, controlling behavior, zombie, moving behavior. So this could be like the dying behavior because this is how they take damage, or damage taking behavior. But dying behavior is kind of funny. So let's try dying behavior. Dying behavior .dart. And I'll put that in the barrel file. Dying behavior. Looking good. Class dying behavior extends behavior. And I'm going to go to moving behavior again and remember the full class signature for this. Oh yeah, takes the type of the component that upon which it will sit. So let's grab our components. Let's grab flame behaviors. Wonderful. So this zombie behavior thing, oh, now we can add it to the behaviors list, right? So here we can add a dying behavior. Okay, and this dying behavior, it doesn't need any life cycle. It doesn't need like an update or anything. We can just have a like take damage spell, right? So why don't we, let's have this take in a fireball. So void take damage. And this is going to take a fireball. This is the thing that hits us. And you'll also have the game ref. Actually, no, we can get that through the parent. So one of the first things we want to do is say parent.game.world.remove the fireball. So the fireball should go away when there's a zombie. Just from this, except in zombies on collision, we do need to get that behavior and then call the function. So find behavior, dying behavior, and then take damage, and we'll pass in other. And then we return, because we don't need to undo collisions from a fireball. Oh, I need to add a zombie. World.dart. We'll require a zombie to shoot one. Now, won't we? Yeah, they could be an enhancing. I think you're right. That's correct. What will happen to the fireball after it's no longer on the screen? Does it memory leak? It sure does in the current write-up. So that is an excellent point. They should have an age after which they just fizzle out. However far they go off the screen. That's a really good point. I was about to totally overlook that. All right, we've got a zombie. And when I shoot it, it didn't work. Oh, that's because the fireball needs a hitbox. Yeah. So we can add to the super call children, which will be a rectangle hitbox. All right, this might work. Okay, shoot the zombie. Didn't work. I don't think this one. Oh, the hitbox needs to be on the sprite. Yeah, this fireball is actually not even a positioned entity. It is It is not a positioned entity. It doesn't have a position. It doesn't care, but its sprite component does. So this needs children. Where is C in the alphabet? Or alphabetize these children. What did I copy and paste? This might work. Oh, something's wrong here. What is the problem? Argument of type position component can't be assigned to another parameter. But we already said it's fireball. Yeah, fireball. Extends entity. That's fine. Oh, I guess this has to be a position entity. All right, whatever. Enhancing numbs are pretty great. I don't know if you can overuse them. They're great. Open. All right, we've got our zombie and just going right through. Why? Let's think about this. So the zombie certainly collides with stuff. Let's see if this even prints. Print other. Well, Karan, love from California. Right back to Nepal. Really glad to have you. Oh, we're removing the fireball, but we need to remove the sprite component and everything. Aha. Aha. So let's have a clean method on the fireball that will totally clean up after itself. Void clean. And so we'll start here with removing the game world dot remove. Oh, I don't want to get rid of that. I wanted to say remove the sprite component. And now we'll call clean. Oh, that was in take damage. Here we go. So it'll first be basically fireball dot clean. And I think that's it. I don't know if the fireball itself is going to be garbage collected. Like nothing else is pointing at it. It has its own assets though, so I don't think it will be garbage collected. I'm not convinced I'm doing this correctly. Maybe the fireball should in fact be a sprite component, but then I'm not sure what that means about having a positioned entity and potential behaviors. I'm going to stay on this path, but I don't think I'm holding it just right yet. All right, refresh. Here we go. Didn't I call clean? Take damage, fireball clean, and in clean we remove the sprite component. Huh. It's working, don't change it. Well, love right back to Nigeria. Brainiac. That's a great name. Love from California. I feel like the late keywords recommendation by the linter often gets abused very often. Any thoughts? Oh, that's a question for Flutterfly. Well, I won't steal it. Danielle? Do we also need to remove the zombie sprite? Well, they are going to have to take damage, yes. I was thinking that it wouldn't necessarily be fatal in one shot. So they're going to have like a health bar or something maybe. But, all right, what's going on here? This is hitting. So take damage is being called, right? Print cleaning, fireball. That doesn't sound like a fun task. Now does it? Johnson, get in there and clean the fireball. No. It is. Oh, because it's a freaking sprite component. Oh my gosh. It's not a fireball. It's a sprite component. So this doesn't hit. That's the problem. Why don't we add a class fireball sprite component extends sprite component, and this is what we will use instead of what we were doing before. So we're going to add a fireball sprite component instead. And we need all of these. We need anchor, angle, children, position, priority, sprite, and size. Angle, anchor, position, children, sprite, and size. Did I get them all? Nope. Priority. Oh, it's close. Priority. Okay. So now we can check in the zombie for a fireball sprite component. And we could pass in other.parent as fireball. That will allow us to call the clean method. Where to find a link to this project? Why, you can find a link to this project right here. Great question. It is on the hub of Git. Make your way to the hub of Git. Click on the repo and find the game. Oh, all right. It broke. Good stuff. That means the code got called. All right. Zombie world is not a subtype of fireball. Of course. So what happened there? See, we're hitting the boundaries of this fireball construction because I added the zombie, or added the component, the sprite component to the world. That was its parent. So I guess let's do this differently. Let's do this differently. The fireball is now going to take a position, required super.position. Okay. And so the position, this comes from the world, is the player's, oh, that's also the origin. I'm so smart. Back to the fireball. So we can call to the super here. Position is also origin. All right, so now the fireball has a position. And now in the player where this was cast, right? Cast fireball, is that a spell? I mean, is that a, here we go, cast fireball. So we're not going to add this to, oh, the fireball we can still add to the world. That's fine. In the fireball, we will now add the sprite component to ourselves. I think this will be good. Shoot a zombie. Oh, no fireball appearing anymore. We aren't adding the fireball to the world. And in the fireball, we make a sprite component and we add that. Well, let's give this an effect. Let's give this a priority of effect as well. Potentially an issue. I don't know how to alphabet. I don't know if O or R comes first. No fireball. It's in the game because oh, it's in the game, but with the wrong location. Oh, banner, go away. Explain the fireball. Yeah, sure. So what aspect, Mohammed, what aspect of the fireball would you like to hear more about? So the position of it is wrong, and there was trying to remove a component that belongs. Oh, right. Clean is now not so good in Fireball. I'm now trying to remove it from the world, but it's actually been added to this now. So that's what we need to do here. And then we can say, oh yeah, game.world.remove this. So that's better. But all right, so the position is wrong. That's actually why I was adding it to the world, because I knew that the position would be. Oh, wait. Now in update, we would update our position. I don't know. I'm not good at game development. Still no. Oh, look at look at it fly by the bottom of the screen. All right, so I'm still not thinking about the position correctly. Like we've got fireballs coming from other places going to other places. Every now and then they cross the screen. Not amazing. Not good yet. All right. So let's go back to no zombies and just get the thing to appear in the correct place. Get rid of these constants. Yeah, these could be enhanced enums. They definitely could. So when the player calls cast fireball, it's adding actually let's in unload or in the let's see, what is the position here? Where is this actually appearing? So in unload, let's print fireball position. And let's also print the player position. This is going to be game.world.player.position. These should be the same values. That's what we want. They are the same values. Okay. Why then does this is the same value. That shouldn't change anything at all. Why does the sprite component appear somewhere else? Oh, its position is relative to the parent. So the position, if we add it to the parent, the position is 0. I think. Get over here, zombie. Oh, there's no zombie. I explicitly got rid of it. Okay. Look at that. Basically Hogwarts Legacy. All right. You love to see it. The fireballs work again. That's so great. Now we can go back to the zombie file. And here we're not checking for a sprite component anymore. We're checking for a proper fireball. And we don't have to get in any of these shenanigans. Let's see if this works. Come to me, zombie. That doesn't exist because I didn't add one back in yet. I have a zombie, refresh. Oh, it still didn't go away. Oh, right. The last change that I made was wrong because the hitbox is still... So the hitbox is on the sprite component, but I guess we might as well just put it on the fireball. That feels better. So let's go back to doing that. And now you won't take children anymore, or this can just be optional, I guess. Children will go here. Refresh. I have a tiny amount of faith. It wasn't even close to working correctly. Huh. Why would the fireball... Oh, maybe the fireball has no size. And so its hitbox is 0 by 0. So let's grab a size here. And the sprite will then inherit its size from its parent. Welcome to Game Dev, folks. Can you hit the... Look at that. Look at that. Take that, zombie. Take that, zombie. What you got? Get out of here. Get out of here. This is just swell. I don't know if I'm making this look easy or hard, but making it look something. Oh, it's recycling day outside too. Boy, is that loud. If you're all hearing glass breaking, nothing I can do about Thursday mornings. I moved recently and this is my new garbage day. Okay. This is great. Now the zombie can actually take damage. And let's give it some health and a health bar. And this is one of those things that Bonfire is so good at. But let's say this dot health equals 100. Int health. And great. Okay, so we've got health. Now we need to render the health. So in onload, I'm going to add... Oh, you know what I have? I have a line. This is so funny. I have this debugging component. See these red lines here? These are so I can see the borders of unwalkable terrain. I'm just going to repurpose that as a health bar above the zombie. It's going to be awesome. So onload, we're going to only have a health bar if your health is less than 100%. I play StarCraft, and that is how that needs to work. So where should this component live? How should this work? I guess we'll need... Yeah, so we're going to need a life bar component. Life bar component. I'm going to genericize this later because the player will probably have health when the zombie's going to attack them. But for now, it's just going to live in this file. So this is the life bar. And of course, it doesn't exist yet. Life bar component extends position component. And it doesn't really... We can just go right to unload, I think. And we'll add this line component. We'll instantiate the line component. In update, we'll add it and remove it depending on the health. That's what it'll be. Yeah. So we'll have a line component. And the actual, this is the health bar. And so our health bar equals a line component. And the line is going to be basically the top left to the top right anchor of our parent, I think. So this is going to be parent dot position of anchor, anchor dot top left. Now why? So you don't know what the parent is. That's fine. We'll say the parent as, actually, I'm going to make a little getter for this. Let's add position component, and then we'll call this positioned parent, and that's going to return parent as position component get. So this is the position parent dot position of anchor top left to top right. The line component is red. Okay. And now in on render or update, right? Update. We'll say if do we have our parent.health? Oh, the parent is the zombie. I said I was going to genericize it later, but not anymore. Write it wrong the first time, figure out what is like generically true, what's unique, and then you abstract. So if the parent.health is less than 100, we'll position the parent. Actually, we're just going to call this zombie now. Oh yeah, double DT. I was like, what are you complaining about? So if the zombie's health is less than 100, this is where we now will add. We only need to add it if it's not there. Oh, Mansoor, working on an Angular project and thought it sounded familiar. Yeah, the observableness is I'm writing Flutter code and you're currently observing me. So different than Angular. Someone else asked, why would you use Angular? And well, it's just a good web development framework. Incredible documentation, very straightforward usage, highly opinionated. So they're just like, write it this way. It's great. It's really good. So zombie.health is less than 100. So this is the trick here, right? We want to show the component if the zombie health is less than 100, but I don't want to just add it all the time. I only want to add it if it's not there. So we could like have a flag to show whether or not it was previously there and track that. And maybe that's what we have to do, but I don't love that. Bool health bar showing equals false. I don't love this. So if health bar showing, all right, so I guess we'll say if the health is less than 100, then we say also if the health bar is not showing, then we say zombie.add our health bar. And then the health bar is showing. Separately, we need to move the end of the line. So that was line.end, right? Oh, health bar.line. What? Yeah. Oh, it's capital B. And then we can set the end, right? End can't be used in the setter because it's final. Well, I guess we'll give you a new line. And the start is still the same. This means we didn't even really need to create the thing up top. So now we need to interpolate the percentage of the way from the top left to the top right based on our health. So our we need a vector 2 that goes from, let's get our top left and set that out. So we need the top left plus the distance. So this is like top left times the x plus, and then let's get top right, set that out. Plus top right dot x minus top left dot x times the health. So this is the left corner, and then we add the distance from the top right corner to the top left corner, but the percentage of it for health. I think that's right. And this requires a second parameter, and we do the same thing. Oh no, y just is the same, of course. This is top right dot y, which is the same as top left dot y. Only x we have to change. So now let's refresh a lot of this stuff, or reread this. So we have this life bar component. Do I ever make one of these or use it? No, I don't believe I do. I declare one, I never instantiate it or use it. Awesome. So in onload, let's create it and add it. Life bar equals a new life bar component. And what do I owe you? Nothing. You do not take a line component. And then I never add the line. I never add this. So let's say zombie.add health bar. Okay. Oh, we added the zombie health bar here. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. What are you mad about? It's a lowercase b. So we set the life bar, and I don't think we need to add the life bar. Now you have to take damage. So this will be parent.health minus 10. All right, so we cleaned the fireball. We lowered its health. Nothing appeared. Parent.health minus 10. That is not code. Amazing. All right, still didn't work. So all right, so its health is going down. We see that in the logs. I've never written great code in my life. You don't even have to worry about that. All right, so the zombie. Let's remind ourselves how this works. So it has the life bar. And in update, right, so we could say print adding health bar. And the health bar is like, oh, the line components, they've never been designed to move before. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. It also didn't print. Oh, what is happening here? It did not print adding health bar. So the life bar component is, oh, we have to add it. We do have to add it. Otherwise, its update method won't be called. It's not in the proper component tree. Okay. There's a health bar. Folks, look at this. This is a final boss zombie if I've ever seen one. Look at this health bar. Wow. Off the screen. Cannot be killed. Good. Really good. Nice. All right, how did I screw that up so bad? So it times, oh, someone did mention the divide by 100. Yeah. Andy. Winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Oh, let's go. Oh my gosh. I didn't think it was going to work. Why is it following him? Whoa. No way. That was great. Normally I think things are going to work, but they don't. This time I didn't think it was going to work, but it did. That like never happens. I'm so happy. All right. Now this is pod racing. Now then the zombie dying behavior, right? This is pretty important. If parent.health equals 0, actually, let's just say if it's less than or equal to 0, parent.clean, and then let's add a clean method to the zombie. They're studious, they're tidy. Why can't zombies clean? Think they just live in a pigsty? So game.world.remove this. Oh, wait a minute. Can't we just do parent.remove this? Right? Can I do that? Now, zombies don't heal, but if they did, the health bar would not go away once it returned to 100. So not amazing there, but whatever. What else does the zombie need to get rid of? What does it need to remove? When you remove a component, does it automatically destroy its descendants, Wolfen? If you're still here. It's okay if you're not. I still love you. All right, I think the zombie's going to go away. Let's also just make the fireball deal more damage for now. Oh, errors. Clean. Yeah, it is. Parent is a zombie, and it has clean. T.parent, which is a zombie. That's the... What are you talking about? What am I missing here? Parent, it should know that parent is a zombie. Why does it think it doesn't have a clean method? Oh, it knows it's a zombie. It's because I put clean in the bottom of the file. See, this is more like how I write code. This feels more familiar. Let me tell you right now, okay? And now I'm back in my comfort zone. Writing a bunch of nonsense, it doesn't work, and then wrinkling my nose at why it doesn't work. Oh, too good. Too good. It's honestly too good, for being real. This is incredible. Can we fade the zombie with damage? Oh, give it some opacity. That's interesting. Triggers on remove. So yes, that's great. Fade. Yeah, we can probably fade the zombies. That's what we want. I mean, they don't. I've never seen zombies become transparent as they get damaged, but we presumably could. Man, the only other thing I kind of want to do is have the fireball turn into an explosion that like deals damage to stuff, but that feels like too much to take on with 34 minutes remaining, so I'm not going to do it, but it would be fun. Let's get some more zombies and get after it. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Yes. Take that. Take that. See, now what would also be cool is if we had a mana bar. So we can't just spam fireballs. We have to be a little bit more judicious, right? We got to have ammo conservation top of mind. So I'm going to wrap up this game project soon, but I think at this point, for anyone who has watched some of these episodes, first of all, you're a hero and like, goodness gracious. But if you've watched these episodes on building this very silly game with Flame, I think you've seen a lot of how this stuff comes together, from the camera management to character movement to organizing entities in your game that have a lot of different competing, potentially overlapping logic and concerns and state machines and whatnot, and handling user input, and then ultimately bringing it together by slinging a silly fireball ping across the screen and using collision detection to have it hit other zombies and knock them out of the game. And I think this is kind of this is game development in Flutter and Flame. And maybe this will even be the last stream for this project, because I have another project in mind that I'm pretty excited about. But man, how about them apples? Huh? Not bad. Not bad. We made a game in Flutter and Flame, which nicely rhymes. I think I'm gonna at least call it for today, and I may or may not ever revisit the game project myself. But I'm going to just look at some chat messages here. So Clean removes it from the canvas too. Clean removed it from the canvas because I was calling the official remove method. I don't know if more experienced Flame developers would bother or would recommend a method like Clean, but if they have like other things that they need to tidy up, it feels like it should be that component's job to tidy up after itself, not, Fireball shouldn't know about what all is going on in the zombie class. So, just putting it in a method. Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me, well, folks, that's a StreamYard looks like. Let me commit this and I'll share the link again. So in the changed code, did I really touch this many files this morning? Wow. I have one boozer. Add fireball to kill zombies. Nice. And I forgot to make a new branch. So this will be git checkout branch episode episode 10 fireballs. Episode 10 fireballs. All right. That means all the latest code is available for your convenience or inconvenience, depending on how good or bad you find the quality of this code at the following link on the hub of Git. Let's see. Actually, I'll leave that up as we look at other, to test on web. Yeah, I haven't run it on web. Well, let's try it. Let's run it on web right now. If it doesn't work, I'm going to do probably nothing to fix it. So just be advised. Flutter run d chrome. Should work though. What other questions we got? Oh, Randall, thanks. Great progress. I should be a team for one of the current challenge. Well, I don't think any team would want me because I am definitely disqualified from winning. And so I would, not only would I tank a team's chances of winning by just being bad at stuff, but I would tank their chances of winning by, we're getting a lot of anti-aliasing. I remember seeing some bugs about that. There were like issues. So other than the anti-aliasing, which if this is a surprise, it was like a tiled Flutter web issue, is my memory of it. If this is not a surprise to you, Wolfen and or Lucas, then let me know, and like maybe this could help be an issue. Oh, the correct renderer. Okay. Which is in the flame docs. Okay, so this is not a surprise nor a problem. That's fine. I forget what I was going to say. Some other questions in the chat. Mystery Manager, been here since episode 1. You the real MVP. I would. You can't win if I'm on your team because I'm part of the people handing out the prize. So other than that, it would actually be very fun. Yeah, I saw something about the runtime errors. So avoiding them leads to more discipline. That's fine. Let's go back up and chit chat about this. What was the inciting comment? It was about late. I did see that. It's quite useful. Forces discipline to ensure you get it right. This was the first answer to that question, I think, maybe from Danielle. I sometimes like a null safe value that needs to be deferred. I also like that, but it is like recursion. You do have to be extra careful in this case to ensure it always has a value. Yeah. I mean, there's, memoization can be something like this, right? There's just some lazy. If you have a computed property that's lazy and it will never change, then it's like, I don't want to run the computation if I don't use it. But if I do use it, then I don't want to run it again either. And so there's just some corner cases where I think it does have some value. All right. Well, folks, I think we've done it for today. Some of the last ones have been pretty long, and I'm not upset about wrapping this today. Is this the end of the zombie game? Maybe. Next project, got a couple questions. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a game. It's going to be an app. I think I'm going to try to build something non-trivial with ServerPod and actually deploy stuff to GCP, have a Postgres database that sits behind it that I'll have to remember to turn off between streams lest I waste a bunch of money, and just play around. ServerPod has some new, they're working on stuff and I'm really excited to play with it. I think they have a beta release out of some big new features, and I'm excited to both start working with that, and I'm probably gonna have Victor on, the CEO, CTO, see everything of ServerPod to talk about those features. So that's gonna be really exciting. At least I think so. Older episodes are all on YouTube. So everything that streams live to YouTube is forever a video on demand. So the official Flutter YouTube channel. When am I going to start? That is an excellent question. I'd potentially like to have Victor on first to unveil the new stuff. I forget exactly what their date is for that. So I'll have to sync with him and both of our availabilities and whatnot. So I'll probably start the project after that. If it isn't next week, then I'll have to find something else to do next week. But I'm really excited to toy with ServerPod more. They've built an ORM with relations and migrations, and I would love to see what its API is like. Migrations is a super big deal, and having relations also, like foreign keys in your Postgres database mimicked in your Dart code, really big deal. And it's a thing that Dart on the server has been struggling to deliver for a while, right? There are some that are pretty good. I've played with them and I've hit a lot of friction. So, they're pretty good, I guess we'll say. But yeah, I'm excited to see what ServerPod has going on there with their ORM. And the Mason episode with Felix was the best episode. Really cool stuff. Nice. Yeah, I loved having Felix on, and I love Mason. I think Mason is kind of it's not missing anymore, but it was a missing piece in the Flutter and Dart development ecosystem. I come from Python, where their version of that is called Cookie Cutter. It's been around forever, and it's just awesome. It's super robust marketplace for templates and different, project directory ideas that people use. And I was a Django developer primarily before discovering Flutter and switching to that. And so a lot of really, really experienced Django developers would maintain their own cookie cutter for kind of their idea of a pristine starting project. And so valuable for even other very experienced developers. Like, I just don't want to put in all this time that you did. So thank you. Use it all the time. MySQL, probably never. Postgres, I think, is superior in basically every way. And without being coming down on that question like too much of a hammer, I would recommend you check out Postgres. It is a very, very high performing database. And the biggest vote of confidence that I think you need to explore Postgres is that the new powerful databases that Amazon and Google are releasing, like Google has AlloyDB, Amazon has Aurora, they all have what's called Postgres wire compatibility, which means a Postgres query structure will always work on those databases. And maybe they have gone on to add MySQL wire compatibility, but it was not a priority because Postgres is extremely high performing, very, very good, very modern, tons of updates. Just Postgres is fantastic. Even more than just templates, use Mason to generate 12 similar apps in a pipeline from one source. It's funky, but I love it. Wow. Is this like some involved customer project that you're working on? That sounds pretty sweet. I'd love to read a blog post about it. Okay, folks, I think that will do it for today. It may do it for the game in general. Man, I had a lot of fun working on it. Thanks so much to the folks behind Flame, the folks behind all the other packages that I've used in this. Obviously, Kenny NL, go check him out I think it's a him, for great open game assets. Man, just standing on the shoulders of giants to build even the simplest little thing, but it was so fun. So that'll do it for today, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, night, evening, morning, whatever. And I'll see you probably next week.